close enough, right? 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Start the pledge of allegiance. By the time we're done with that, we should be ready to start the meeting. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we do any business, since we have several new legislators to this committee, I thought we would go around the table and do introductions, especially of our department heads and folks that you'll end up seeing at these meetings pretty much every time. So I'm Rory Hill, chair of this committee, and from Constantia.
I'm Brad Shadell, I'm the vice chair of the 7th District of Mexico.
I'm Mark Greco, 24th District Legislation new. I'm not on this committee, I'm just here to learn, so I'm just sitting through it. So trying to pick up
Jamie Hamlin, Director of Veteran Services.
Tom Drum, Oswego County Legislator, City of Oswego.
Jim Weather, Chairman, District 9, Hastings, a home of buck season.
Right.
Christopher Metz, the AmeriCorps Program Coordinator, stepping in for Brian while he is in Albany for the next couple of days.
Sarah Sunday, Director of the Office for the Aging.
Rich Ringo, County Attorney.
Tim Stone, County Legislator, representing Oswego Town. I am on this board, but also here to learn. So.
Mel Chesbro, Oswego County Legislator. I'm not on this committee, and I am here also to learn.
Betsy Sherman Saunders, Deputy Clerk of the Legislature.
Mike Jordan, County District 1, Sanctuary, 4th River. Herb Jordan, District 2, Williamstown, LBN, Farwell, Richland.
Bill Church, County Administrator.
Veronica Turner, Director of Finance, Department of Social Services.
Randy Pellis, Oswego County News.
Kathy Lavoti Rice, Community Services Coordinator, Division of Mental Hygiene.
And Marty Babcock, I'm the Deputy Commissioner at DSS.
So thank you, and thanks those of you who are filling in for your department heads for coming along. I think Stacy's on her way, hopefully. Okay, so I'll start with the approval of the minutes from our December 3rd meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion or changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So the first resolution appointing 2 members to the Community Services Board. And a little bit of so I'll look for a motion to appoint Samantha Cleveland and Amy Davis.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that. HS2, resolution approving salary modification for one Department of Social Services attorney. Oh, good timing.
My apologies.
Settle in for a second. Why don't you introduce yourself as well for our new legislators?
Yes, Stacy Alborg, Commissioner of Social Services.
Okay, so what we have is you've asked for a higher salary for this particular attorney than what we had budgeted for because of her experience. What?
Correct. Her tenure with the county, she would have been up for this raise, but came in at the baseline for us. So we're asking that she receive that
And you're looking for that to be retroactive.
to January 1.
So from the memo, her prior work with the Oswego County District Attorney's Office and most recently with the County Attorney's Office, these are well prepared to jump into the legal teams, work with little startup training required. And then you cite some exemplary work. Look for a motion.
I'll move it, Mr. Chairman.
You have a second?
Also,
For discussion, any discussion?
Yeah,
questions?
It's, this, I'm reading right, this is reimbursed 75% by state and federal funding, local shares looking at about $640, right?
Correct, in local share.
Does this make her equal with the others, and all four are the same?
Correct.
Okay, and just, I guess it may be pertinent here, then let's make a comment that we've had, this was negotiated last year for the other three that came on board, we've had tremendous success with it. So, I guess some people will get it, but it's a great idea.
Yes, sir.
Was there any reason why she quit the other two departments?
So I would rather her speak to that. I know that what drove her to social services was her passion to do family court work with children. So every lawyer kind of has their specialty. She was with the DA doing criminal court for quite a while with their child sex abuse and severe physical abuse cases. And then she was 1 year in the county attorney's office for Raise the Age with our 16 and 17-year-olds. But she really missed working with child welfare and within the child justice.
She was on the multidisciplinary team that, and just to let people know what that is, maybe talk about that just for a second.
Sure, so MDT has been around New York State for over a couple of decades, and it brings together law enforcement, child protective, the DA's office, therapists, forensic evaluators, psychologists, sometimes doctors if there's physical abuse issues, and they work as a team in getting outcomes for that family. So children aren't having to be interviewed 4 times, 5 times by different players. And our Child Advocacy Center, CAC, coordinates that, provides special family advocates who are trained in MDT. They're a very critical player, and more on that later in my report.
All right, and in 2018, she was the MDT Member of the Year, so.
She was. So she's back with all of those folks doing that really pretty special work.
So we have a first and a second. Any other discussion and questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. So Phil, but that's gonna come out of the 5110000 line?
Yeah. The extra local shares comes out of 5110, right? From
It can.
agency. Yeah.
What, I had Veronica do the budget modifications, so it was really clear how much it impacted our budget and what the total amount of local share would be. We can take this budget sheet and we can do that and not do one single thing, and it's covered because of the vacancies in our budget.
Well, okay, that's what we should be doing anyway.
Okay.
All right. No, you don't need to sign that.
Okay, so send it back. We're gonna tear it up and take it out.
Steve,
of the
you read
line.
it?
I ripped that one nicely.
Yeah, I thought, like,
Save some money on a
So
truck.
it doesn't have to come out of any reserves, correct? So
Correct.
No,
No,
that-
It's coming out of your 50.
that would only happen at the end of the year
Yeah.
if we went over budget. And then
we did that to all of them.
I appreciate the attempt to show that, but that just confuses me. So, you don't need to do it, don't you?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, on to HS3, resolution authorizing the reclassification of 6 positions within the Department of Social Services. We didn't have Julie here, do we?
I can speak to this.
Yeah, well, why don't you, go ahead and brief us.
Okay, so, actually, Marty, you did all the work on this. Do you mind if I quiz? You want to speak to it?
Wrap it up. So,
Mid-year last year, HR decided to take the typing performance part of the typist exam out of that exam process, which in effect made it the exact same exam as the clerk exam. So clerk and typist exams were exactly the same. We knew that was happening, and frankly, I personally don't feel that the typist performance exam is necessary in our functions anymore. But for our clerks, we did not address the upgrade in their positions for this budget year because we didn't have any vacancies. We would have continued on with them as clerks. However, now we have a vacancy, and if we did not request the reclassification of these positions, you would have a new person coming in at a typist level, which is 2 grades higher than a clerk's level. When those clerks have many more years of experience than this brand new person. So that in effect is why we're looking at upgrading it. In addition to that, we can then have a lot more flexibility in what we can ask those typists to do across the department. They do a lot of work at our front desk with the people that are coming through our front door, accepting money payments for people that owe money to us. They do all the appointments, they run paperwork back and forth, they do a lot of our imaging, records, retention, putting together FOIL requests, etc. So they could also be doing more support work for staff all around our department as typists, whereas it would be much more difficult as a clerk.
So the reason for the timing though now is because you have a retirement and you're gonna have to replace a position, and that position's gonna end up getting hired at above the grade of the other clerks, because it'd be hired as a typist. And so people that will,
We had a vacancy occur, correct?
so people that have been in the office for quite a long time are gonna be starting. It's more about the starting rate, is the
Right.
chart that you have in here, correct?
Right.
So, 2 pages past the resolution, you've got the chart of the different positions. The new clerk would be coming on $14.12 an hour, which is higher than 2 of the existing clerks' positions,
Correct.
per this chart.
I don't have the chart with me, but,
It's in the packet.
okay.
So, well, I'll look for a motion on this.
I'll make a motion to discuss.
Second.
Questions?
Marty, how did you discover it about the test being identical?
That information came to me from HR.
Okay, I mean, did you ask, or did they just mention it to you?
She told me that because she wasn't going to continue to offer the clerk's exam
Okay,
because it's the same, it's
Yeah.
the exact same.
I only asked because I kind of want to say congratulations to whoever, because we know we want your employees fair and want to do the right thing. So I'm just
Yeah.
kind of glad this happened, just want to know that.
Yeah, the clerk title now is obsolete in Oswego County. There will be no more tests given.
Okay,
Is that something happening across the state as well, or is that because of the?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
it should be uniform, should be.
Okay.
Civil service job description.
And so the bottom line budget impact was the full share increase is $3,306.
Correct.
Right, just one more.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. I don't know if I'm not following. We couldn't reclassify these positions during the budget process because we needed a vacancy to occur. Am I following that right? What prohibited us from doing this during budget time? These reclassifications, I guess is my question.
It was definitely not on my radar. It was not something I had a lot of balls in the air, if you recall.
Sure.
How
So,
soon is the vacancy?
It came to my radar when we had a vacancy, Christmas week.
Okay.
And right after the first of the year, we said, Okay, now what do we do?
So that's what brought it to our attention, was the
Yes,
vacancy.
so I will own the lack of foresight.
Yeah, no, and I'm not pointing blame, I was just curious, I know how busy
Yeah.
budget time gets, but I just wanna make sure I understood it.
Tim? No, you had your hand up first.
okay.
I keep track of these things.
Thanks, Ryan. So, we are looking to bring in somebody else, and the concern is that bringing this person in to do essentially the same job as folks who are already here, but at a higher starting rate. Now, many of these folks have been here for a long time, and so they're, I'm assuming, making more than this person, so it wouldn't be total pay, correct? It's more of just the fairness of bringing in somebody.
It's not total pay, correct, it's at the level that they're starting.
Although it would depend on when they were hired as to whether they're making more than the entry level type of position. I don't know that.
So this is more of, not that the person who applied for and took the test and did that is making an unfair pay, it's the idea of paying them too much in comparison to the other folks. This is more bumping the others because it wouldn't be fair to them. Is that a fair way to understand it?
That is a fair way for our proposal, correct?
As far as, if I could, there has not been any sort of issue with the unions at this point, is that correct? This isn't brought from the unions, this isn't a concern that, in that line of thinking?
No, but I understand that there is discussions about this as a grievance issue, which I would want to avoid at all costs.
Not at all costs, but I understand.
Well, at the cost of $3,306 of local share.
And this is another, one that we can rip up though,
Yes.
if we approve this.
This is very much for your transparency so that you can see exactly what the
Cost
costs
is gonna
are
be next year.
and what that local share will mean in the 2021 budget. But if you want us to continue to just take it out of 60-10 lines, I can do the same thing with this that I just did with
Right.
this.
Because right now, you're still be in the budget category, whatever we have.
Yes, I still got
You wouldn't
you.
have to make a modification until at the end of the year if you needed adjustment.
Correct, for next year's budget.
Jim?
So I have two questions on this chart. Is everybody getting a raise?
6 clerks.
There's 6 people on there, so they're all getting raises.
Five clerks.
5 of those.
Five
The
are getting
sixth
a
one
raise,
is
one's
raised.
gonna be coming on new.
Correct.
So the ones that are at 1668, 1663 are gonna get a raise.
Yeah, to 1801, 1896.
Okay. And the other question I've got is, the only real concern I've got is if we made the decision and who made the decision that we're not going to test for clerk anymore. If we're the only county doing that, why are we doing that? And nobody seems to have an answer as to whether
That's
that's
a,
a statewide elimination or whether that's something.
yeah, that's a question for Julie Bell.
That's my understanding from HR, is it is a statewide.
It is a statewide elimination. All the counties will be doing it.
I would assume so. They want
Thanks,
to
Jim.
get rid of some of these obsolete titles.
I mean, we all may be wrong, but that's what.
Then I should have asked Julie to come up. Go ahead.
So these are union positions, which means they have a job description. We are changing these titles. Are we also changing their job responsibilities? Are the job responsibilities identical? How does that piece work?
Marty kind of addressed that. but-
The job responsibilities as written for a clerk are not as expansive as for a typist. However, many of our clerks are in fact performing those duties. So that this upgrade will also bring them into line with what they should be at for the duties they're performing.
Any other questions? No. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a little uncomfortable voting on this without knowing that answer. If this is us specifically or if this is statewide.
Can you call Julie and see if she can come up with a
Could we
delay
do that?
vote on this? Can we have to table it to, if she can't come up right away?
if she can't come up.
We just get an answer to that.
Can I
That's
just-
important. In my mind, that's pretty important, so.
Can I table it during the meeting? I've never done this before, but.
You can move to table and take it back off the table in the same meeting, sure.
You don't necessarily have to do it in order, you can come back.
Yeah, just come back to it, that's probably easier.
Just not gonna do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
we're
do.
gonna probably do it.
Then,
I do wanna say, we don't have a deep bench. This may sound like a lot of positions. This is not a lot of positions in the Department of Social Services. The volume of work is huge, and people do take vacations, they're out sick. We already have some of these lower level for positions that are, as Marty said, assigned to hire.
so they're almost working out of description. And this is probably gonna affect other departments.
I don't know that.
You know,
Do we have clerks? Do we have clerks in other departments that are tested into the same?
Jim, I had heard from somebody that the health department had clerks, but this was gonna affect DSS and the health department. I don't know.
I think I said that one, it was a different issue.
Oh, okay.
And I think they do. I mean, I'd have to get the book out. and see.
Yeah, I gotta assume there's gotta be a couple knocking around, but I mean, you probably have more than everybody.
Well, at one time, highway had one or two.
Oh, that could be as
I don't know, I mean, if you look through the county, and that's part of my concern is, and that's gonna be something unions could agree and say, well, you,
Right, so if they're not gonna grieve you, they may grieve it anyways if there's others in the same position. This sets a precedent as well.
Or could we just transfer the whole thing?
Okay, if, she be
She's
able,
on her way.
do you have any idea how many more clerks in the county?
Yeah, I got that right off the top. How many other?
I'm gonna pass it around the table.
And it's not, it's not.
I mean,
We've got a lot.
But there are others, right?
Yeah.
Or is that something that?
Well, there's different types of, there's account clerks, there's vehicle clerks, I don't know.
Based on what the president.
But are they based on that same?
Those are separate titles, she's on clerks in the DMV.
Yeah,
That's a separate list.
Those are all different types.
Accountant's a separate title,
Purchasing
and
clerks
this
are all
would just be clerk, so there may be some under the agreement.
all right, well, if we can do it, then why don't we move on to the next resolution until Julie gets up here. It's the resolution awarding professional services contract, forensic psychological evaluations. There's no local share on this. And this is a single award, right? This isn't to have them available, all of them available to us.
No, so, if you had the opportunity to read my report, under contracts, you'll note that, there are some court-ordered services that are fee-for-service that we do not have to put out for RFP. Per Onondaga County and Oswego County policy. So, we went ahead and put this out anyways, although that falls in that column of, we don't need to do an RFP. We did it because we're getting more and more volatile families coming before the court. The judges are ordering more evaluations, some pretty high level forensic psychological evaluations. We wanted to see, can we attract more vendors? Can we stabilize or decrease the rate? So that was our purpose. This was not one to actually have to stay in compliance like the other 15 of them we did this past year. But this one, we really didn't get the kind of response I was hoping for. We did get a pretty stable level, so we're not increasing the rates whatsoever. Some folks, though, were at higher rates, and we chatted with our judges. Actually, Rich Mitchell had written the judges on behalf of the county not to specify a vendor's name. We had a particular psychologist that kept getting all the business, and the rate was higher. So I think we've worked through that. We now have one local psychologist that whenever that professional is available, we will use. And then we tick down through our list because this is all very time sensitive for us to get these evaluations done and the outcomes back into court. So I am asking for this to be approved for what our kids call her Dr. D.
And this is covered in your budget.
It is covered in our budget. These, you won't see these though. These go through our BIX system, so BIX is a whole nother benefits.
Yeah, I wrote down the acronym the other day, but I don't have my notes.
And that big system, does anyone know? So it's, but it's basically the state payment system. So these checks are not cut through the treasurer's office. They go right through VIX and then they go into our own payment system.
Okay, let's,
Make a motion.
so let's pause on that and go back to the previous motion that we had for the last one. So
Okay.
Julie's here, so, Julie, so, let's see, we had a couple of questions. I think the first one had to do with this change from clerk to typist, is that, was that an internal decision, or is that something that's happening across the state, or because of the tests?
It partially testing wise, when a position becomes vacant, we kind of reevaluate and look at the position itself. This happened years ago when we used to have stenos and they became obsolete. So DSS, and it has the great majority of the clerk positions. So as a whole, we looked at that. I think highway has the only other one. So really it wasn't an issue. We just look at the position.
They only have one,
They have one.
so.
And I was told when we did reach out to Kurt, he is not gonna fill that as a clerk when that becomes vacant. He would look to reclassify as well.
And other questions? There was a question about potential grievance from the union.
No, I mean, it's not a vacant position, they're just being all reclassified, so, it wouldn't be really union. They are the only clerks in the.
So if we wanted to, we could still hire people at the clerk positions.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got
But it would
the
be off the
typist
same,
list.
but off the same test.
It'd be off a typist list. Yeah, at the lower level as a clerk.
So I'd be advertised for a clerkman is really a tighter step.
We
I
didn't
mean,
advertise.
it's just, clarification, if it's gonna be, the type is just gonna be a tighter step, you're not gonna give a clerk step,
No, we are not giving clerk again.
so.
Mike, I'd asked if you were to be recognized.
I raised my hand, I thought you said.
Well, you did, but he beat you.
Oh.
Quick. So the question would be then, if we do have one other position in highway, I'm assuming it's a person who's been here a number of years, I don't know how many years, but a number of years, I would assume that they also would then want the same bump. I would assume the union would feel the same way. Is that accurate? Is that an accurate
It
assumption?
could potentially, at the discretion of the department head, if he should choose to reclassify that to a typist. But, I mean, they haven't been in the position long, less than 5 years, I believe, so fairly new at the highway department.
And then if that was to be reclassified, the increase to that would be completely, hopefully under within that line, but there's no reimbursement, I would assume, on that position, is that correct? But that would be the only other position you know of that within this county that would be potentially affected by this change.
Yes.
Other questions? Okay, thanks for coming up. I'm sure it was, all those in favor? Any opposed?
And do you want me to take it out of the 60-10? Or do you want the additional local share from the general fund put into the budget as this is?
I think it's a good idea to tear it up and take it out of the 60-10 line. Is there agreement? I mean.
I wanted to take it back together again now, so.
I think that will be more appealing to F&P as well. Okay, Okay, so,
Can that be taken out of F&P's packet, or we just go through this process at F&P?
Well, I'll just mention to them they don't need the budget mod, that's paid for with a 5110.
yeah, the packet's already made up.
Okay.
Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Okay, so, back to the discussion of HR4. HR3 carried. This forensic psychological evaluations. This is already on the budget. Did anybody have any? We didn't have a motion for this one. So Jim's got a motion.
Second, then I have a question.
Jim, go ahead, Tim, your question.
Okay,
Yes, go ahead.
this one I did notice has a missing piece of required documentation. Are we allowed to award with missing, or does that open up concerns with those who are unawarded who did complete all the required documentation?
We've retrieved all missing documents,
Okay,
so that, I mean, we could hold a hard line and kick out any vendors, but we probably wouldn't have many vendors left to all of the responses. It's not everybody.
I'm still.
Yeah, there are certain documents we request within RFPs, and sometimes it takes a while for, like, if they have to report. The big one is a resolution from a corporate board. Sometimes those can't get back to us in time for our deadlines. If the document, one of the documents missing, let's say it's the document where they put all their pricing on it, no, kick them out. But if it's an insurance document or something like that, where we know we can get it within a week or so, then that's okay.
I was more asking, are we allowed to? I know
Yes,
that
yes.
there's a lot of purchasing rules.
Depends on the document.
That's what I was wondering.
Depends on
This
the
one,
document.
it says it's a cover page. Those are tricky to remember to include, I'm assuming, but, reality, we're okay to award like your professional, that's all it is.
And I do wanna say that we rely on Ottawa County Purchasing to give us their expertise on all of that.
And they're pretty strict on documentation.
They really are.
I know, that's why I'm asking, because I'm talking to them.
Yeah.
This sheet, that's why I asked, thank you.
Okay, any other questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So, moving to HL5, resolution awarding professional services contract transportation dispatch services. One,
There's some additional documentation coming right now. If anybody wants to take a look.
this is for legislators, actually.
Can I?
Yeah, you can grab one there, apparently there's enough. This is just the truncated version of the two proposals.
Thank you, Greg.
And I thought it would make it a little easier when we ask questions. Okay, why don't you go ahead and start?
I'll make a motion.
You want to go ahead and, you make a motion any second?
Now, second for discussion.
Okay, and this is a motion to accept the recommendation of the department. So, Stacy, you have it.
We have worked hard the past year and a half through our transportation committee. I'd like to thank Mary Ellen Chesbrough, Legislator Chesbrough, for her leadership. This is really the transportation committee umbrella under Dave Turner's shop, development and planning. And DSS has always had a lot of representatives at the table because transportation is complex, it's very costly for DSS, and it was an incredibly fragmented system. So we spent a lot of time, first of all, getting the key stakeholders, getting all the right people to the table, and then doing a deep dive, including surveys by all of our provider agencies that do transportation, particularly the ones with DSS, looking at where we spent our money, where assets have been invested, and really, what are our solutions? What are we looking for? I was in a bit of a unique situation because I had worked, as many of you know, as a commissioner in Lewis County. Lewis County having had that same issue, as did Jefferson County, as did St. Lawrence County. And we formed a coalition surrounding the Volunteer Center, Inc., up in Watertown. And they did an amazing job of recruiting volunteers, bringing our costs down, and coordinating trips, particularly with the ability to ride share. You know, getting even our health providers. Can you schedule, you know, all of your Harrisville folk to we in Lewis, it was a county-owned hospital, to the hospital, so that we're making, you know, one big trip there. We did a lot of coordination. That is very detailed, time-consuming tasks and activities. Mel, do you want to contribute to this discussion about our work at the Transportation Committee?
Well, the Transportation Committee, the legislature has passed the RFP in order for us to get it for the county. But DSS has a much stronger core and a much more convoluted, that it really had to go the next level. And that's really what Stacy's been doing, is getting that core, because that's where a lot of the transportation becomes extremely difficult to coordinate with the whole county. And all of the values that we were looking for are the same. So to see OCO and to see the other VTC come in, it was very obvious which ones would be the best benefit for the county.
Well, and it's kind of apples and oranges, I mean, because the on the con side for one here, it's the proposal did not cite the ability to coordinate ride sharing using existing software.
Yeah.
And it didn't co-locate the dispatch staff with the transporters as outlined in the RFP. That's the biggest piece of this, because that's the whole thing that we're trying to fix that got broken 6 years ago when the state, or 5 years ago, whenever it was, when the state changed Medicaid transport to its own dispatch system, and we started into the downward spiral with not having ridership anymore, not being able to schedule rides on our buses. You know, if we don't have riders, we don't get any more money. So the whole transportation system went into a death spiral. So by hiring VTC as the mobility manager and having them have this co-located, you know, completely integrated new dispatch system, and then starting to utilize volunteers as well for these little pieces. There's, you know, trying to get a handle on what our public transportation looks like in the county was amazingly difficult, because there's so many little bits and pieces that are funded from so many different places that are dispatched for so many different kinds of things. So, you know, I with everything, we've met with volunteer transportation several times, first for the mobility piece, but now that's why I think that we should approve this as well. And I think it's the beginning of helping to heal our problems with transportation in the county. With other questions?
VTC does have a working relationship with MAS, Medical Answering Services, that took over the dispatch of non-emergency Medicaid. We're spending here in little Oswego County $5.2 million a year Medicaid spending for non-emergency medical.
Yeah, and I wonder what that number was like 5 or 6 years ago.
We talked in our directors meeting this morning, and we're gonna pull, we need to go back to the 2010 and 2011. So I only pulled the last 5 years of all those categories, but we're gonna go back to before the state centralized and took over Medicaid and our transportation.
Well, and apparently the state is all for this volunteer piece, even though they're not.
Yes, oh yes.
Well, I mean, they're the ones that are paying for this, but of course, in the end, we pay for it with all the stuff that's happening with Medicaid.
That's right.
And part of it is that it's a waste of money upstate. It's wrecking multiple counties' transportation systems. So I just don't feel the state is.
Well, the one good thing in DTC is they figured it out really well, and they work very, very closely with public transit. VTC's goal will be to increase ridership on public transit. Look, we don't need to give door-to-door transportation to someone who has the ability to use our public transit. So we take that very seriously, because then, you know, we're really disempowering those clients. And that's not what our goal is in social services. We promote people being able to be independent. So we will be doing what's called the first mile, last mile to get people to employment. They may take a volunteer, may take them from Williamstown to Glasgow, where they can pick up the public transit route and get back and forth to work. So that first few miles getting to public transit and then getting home those last few miles, they have some pretty deep benches up north for volunteer transporters that will accommodate that first mile, last mile.
Well, and even though we're calling them volunteers, they are getting paid mileage reimbursement
Correct.
of like 58 cents a mile or something.
54.5 cents is the new federal rate, I believe.
57.5.
57.5.
Okay. So, so it helps out for like an old, senior or something who is retired. I got
Yeah, that's
Jim
fine.
first.
Yeah, it went down half a penny. I just want to make you aware, people of the committee, that I was given notification today that Donna Scanlon is filing application for a grant due in March for volunteer transportation. I'm sure that's going to be more related to some of the housing issues. And,
Who's filing it?
Donna Scanlon. So, because we just got our notification to what they're going to need and putting together support from the nonprofits in the county to go with the grant. So I don't know, maybe you might want to talk to her.
Was that brought up at I was in Albany, the 5310 grant. I think it's the 53.
Yes, we did talk about it.
Okay, so she is doing it. And we got that.
Oh, it's
Oh,
for
that's-
this.
oh, that's for-
It's for this.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Then, okay, no, yes.
So what happens? We approve it and wait for a grant? We approve it, we pay for it?
We're approving it anyway and hoping to get a grant to help us out.
Well,
Is that the Department of Transportation fund for mobility management?
I'm not exactly, I don't.
I'm learning it for the first time.
Yeah.
DOT moves money through planning. Typically, planning deals with DOT monies and pass-throughs.
yeah, it's
So-
state, it's state.
Okay.
Title VI.
Yeah, it's a state
Oh,
grant.
okay, I think we'll,
But this is already covered in your budget as well.
yes, this is.
We're not modifying a budget to do this. Yeah, it's more money than what OCO, responded in their RFP, but it's also apples and oranges, so that we're not
I
gonna
do
fulfill
need-
our need.
I need to make a correction now in my informational memo regarding this. No, in my, at the end of the evaluation, I identified using contractual services line in our budget with a 62%. Why Veronica, Cheryl, who oversees our triple FS plan and contracts, Cheryl Rocks, and myself got on the phone with New York State OTDA, and we received permission to put this in our triple FS plan. So this will now be 100% federal funding. So there'll be no 38% local share on this dispatch now. So she actually thought it was creative. She had never heard of a county using their triple FS this way and said, bravo, I think this is a good thing. She's retiring in a few months, so I hope the person who takes over from her also thinks it's a wonderful, creative way to use triple FS, but.
Any other questions?
So we may not need a grant if it's 100%.
Tim?
Only on my dispatch side, not
We
on,
can use it on the regular.
not mobility, yeah, it won't do mobility management, I gotta show all riders in this dispatch are 200% or below federal poverty level.
I just want to make sure there wasn't any of this.
I hope not, because Mel certainly brings everybody to the table and makes sure everybody has an opportunity to contribute,
Yeah.
so.
So I didn't see any problem with that. I think this is just a regular one, isn't it?
The mobility manager.
Yeah.
Well, and
Started
they,
with Donna's grant application.
VTC has committed to attend, all of our, Transportation Advisory Committee meetings, and in
Plus
fact,
others.
to, open some of them up to the public. They're actually talking about, putting on some kind of a luncheon to invite people to come and talk about, they think they'll get more people there if they.
Input, and so they're just looking for input and communication, and that's what's gonna make this
And to
thing
put the
work.
word out about, the services that we're gonna have, so we can promote the buses, better, and the volunteer services as well. Tim?
This is great. I'm really excited about this, that this is going through, that we're seeing it. And we all know the just awful issues we've been having over the last number of years. This is a pretty good sized contract, and the majority of it's going to pay salaries, which is needed because that's what we need. With that in mind though, what is the process that's in place right now? It sounds like they are going to be being part of our group and our oversight or our advisory committee. Is there any sort of deliverable report? Is there any sort of accountability structure built in? How at the end of 3 years are we going to say, hey, these guys are doing it? Makes 3 years from now saying, okay, no matter what year we funded it, this is worth it. What's the process for that? Maybe are you overseeing that, or your offices? Would it be Mel's group? What's the plan?
It will be both, DSS will be reporting out to the transportation committee at what are our pressure points. But we have identified, between, with VTC and with OCO really, because I had conversations with both about what we were looking for. St. Lawrence County got 50 volunteers in the first year. I've set a benchmark of 35. We've already got 3, so we're on our way before the ink's even on the contract. The other deliverable is I really want to pull back on how many paid transporters I have deployed out of DSS. That I wish happened yesterday. But I'll be patient. We really need to decrease that liability for the county, and we need to decrease the cost.
So there could be some savings that come out of that. Is your expectation as well? It sounds like.
Absolutely, and we're paying Catholic Charities also a contract to do paid transporters.
So your expectation would be to have some sort of presentable
Decrease.
data that we could see in 3 years from now, or every year, or however that works.
Correct.
When does the Catholic Charities contract end?
We just put that one out for a bid this past year. We've got 5 years on it, but frankly, they were the only vendor that bid. Most of our nonprofits don't really want to be out on the roads transporting our clients around,
And that's where they're gonna rent space.
And that's where VTC is renting space, correct?
Go ahead.
Also, I do believe, Phil, that we get a report every year from, not Central, but OCO's, the ridership.
Mhm.
So we'll be able to know, we've got facts of how many people are riding on buses now, and we can see a difference.
That's right.
So we do have a lot of data now, and what will be in the future, so.
Well,
something
and the
to compare.
mobility, manager, who they're gonna be hiring if they haven't already, is gonna be reporting to us on the advisory committee monthly.
Yes.
So are they committed to that kind of reporting? And they gave us a pretty good timeline. I should have brought those notes. Of course, I just came from Manhattan, so I don't have anything with me.
Yeah, he was talking like 8 months to really have, real boots on the ground, but they're already.
They have a
They're
strong
doing a lot
plan,
of stuff.
and because they've already been approved as a mobility manager, they're already helping to do some of this work already.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
I just have one that
Go
was
ahead.
brought up the other day. And you come from another county apparently, which is good. So you've worked with this before?
Yes,
So you've seen the results and it's
Yes.
positive.
yes.
I think that was the issue. Somebody wanted to follow, make sure that they have actually
But
had
I can
results.
say it was not positive my first 2 years in Lewis County. It became positive when the founder of that agency, a new executive director named Sam Harrington, who is now lead director, became the lead there, the leader there. He's pretty amazing. This is a man who has incredible expertise in
And
transportation.
so does his team.
His whole team, they are central mission. This is their mission, transportation. So their expertise in a very heavily regulated bureaucracy is pretty amazing. That man went down to MAS in Syracuse from Watertown every single day for months to get that Medicaid transportation piece in check. And now, when MAS gets a North Country, and they will soon, an Oswego, non-emergency management, the first place it goes is to the cheapest date in town, and that's the Volunteer Transportation Center. Yeah, they've done amazing. But it takes a strong leader hiring strong people.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. That was a good one. All right, HS6 is a resolution authorizing budget modifications. Department of Social Services to accept New York State aid for Code Blue funds. Let's look for a motion on this. It's just accept.
Yeah, so this is an easy one. You want to accept $48,165 in state, all state, no local share, to put homeless folks up in, get them out of the cold when the weather is below 32 degrees per the governor's Code Blue regs.
Look for a motion.
I'm moving this trip.
Second by Jim Carrasco. Any questions, discussion? Go ahead.
Moment of confusion, because I think this is a great idea. And managed to talk to a few people when I was over in Albany last week about this. And everyone seems to be all for it, but then I go home and this weekend I turn on the television and there's somebody running a fundraiser for the rescue mission for Code Blue. Is it state funded or is it? I mean, why are they running a big fundraiser for this if it's a state funded program?
They might be taking it a little step further. You know, we only have to put people up in the shelter below 32 degrees.
Okay.
It's still pretty cold out there when it's 35 degrees. So it could be that, they have ongoing, the rescue mission, shelter programs, links to transitional permanent supportive housing. So I would imagine there's some gaps. That's just my assumption, Jim.
Well, is it part of the problem that we don't have a facility like the Salvation Army here, so we were having to pay for hotel rooms for people. And so now we're talking about contracting with Victory to have basically a warming center.
So we still, out of these Code Blue monies, we still pay for some motel rooms. Our warming center is only for singles and childless adults. So if somebody calls on a Saturday morning and it's a single mom with a couple of kids, they're homeless or their heat was turned off or whatever, we won't send them to the warming center. Code Blue will provide for shelter expenses as well as a warming station. The warming station we stood up as a way of diminishing costs and trying to eliminate fraud. We get people calling and by Monday morning we figure out we're paying for an apartment as well.
Okay, that kind of separates it.
Is that?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
So if they could get a hotel room, they would try to cheat the system if all they're getting is a place to go get warm.
They come, they're still coming. I'm shocked because a lot of other counties, when they open the warming station, all of a sudden, those calls kind of, okay, we can't get, motel rooms on the weekends or evening anymore. Ours, we've got, up to 8 people going to our warming station.
What was our reimbursement before when we were putting people in hotels? There was a cost to the county.
If it's during Code Blue, below 32 degrees, we got 100% state money. Some of those folks were sanctioned. We wouldn't have paid for their shelter.
So did you apply for this, or did it just came through?
Well, we have to make application, we have to show them a plan, it's just that this year's plan included a warming station other than just the motel rooms. And I'll tell you, this is a wonderful way to link some of our more vulnerable folk to services. Victory does a really incredible job. Did people get their annual report? If you haven't, I can share it. They're doing some incredible work. This is a faith-based organization that has a lot of churches involved. Very, very proud of their partnership with us at DSS.
All right, go ahead.
Can you just describe what is meant by a warming station? What do you mean by that?
Sure, so people can come in out of the cold into a lounge type big room, lots of couches, and Victory also has 2 men's homes, and kind of the shining stars of them will go and open up the center when there's a call for code blue, and visit with them all night long, talk with them. You know, people kind of doze a bit on the couch, you know, their head goes down, but there's someplace warm, and they have a little kitchenette there, and so they'll provide some hot beverages and breakfast in the morning.
And you said there's about 8 people that utilize this right now? Thanks.
Yeah, so that's about $140 a night for the whole 8, as compared to $75 a night at the bottom rate.
At the very bottom.
Very bottom rate per person per night. So it's huge cost savings.
Go ahead, Jim.
So it's strictly an evening program, so if you wake up the next morning and it's 4 degrees outside, they still go away.
Well, the center is actually open for business at that point.
Well, I understand, but I'm just saying, your end of it, I'm calling for sheltering, it's 4 degrees outside at 10 o'clock in the morning, that's not a code blue. Code blue is overnight. Okay.
Correct.
How many of these centers we're gonna have throughout the county?
This is our first pilot. Our biggest numbers are in the city of Oswego, and that is here. We are looking for other vendors or other churches to maybe stand one up in the future. These are not easy to staff. You need a very special person because some of these folks, they're streetwise, they have some mental health issues, there might be some addiction issues there. They need peers, peer counselors. They need a lot, but it is a good step in the right direction, just getting them off the street. You know, my biggest fear is that we're gonna find someone frozen on the ground, and a lot of communities do. That's my biggest fear.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. 424. Okay, we're into our, well, it says, this is having to do with committee review and decisions. These are not, these are for some appointments. Starting with the Office of the Aging Advisory Council. And you have that informational memo that has the names and bios. Do we have to do resolutions for this, or is this really just for our information? Are we approving these to give to the chairman as recommendations?
Yes, as per our bylaws for the OFA Advisory Council, it does not have to go to the full floor. The resolution is just for the chairman.
Only time you need a resolution is if the legislature appoints.
Okay, so any discussion on those recommendations from Sarah? Since chairman's here, we move them to you, Mr. Chairman. Next is the appointments to New York Connects Long-Term Care Council. You know what, if, Sarah, if you don't mind, could you talk a little bit about what the, what happens with the, is the Office of the Aging Advisory Council, is that one a mandated And some of these advisory councils are,
It is as part of our funding, any AAA or area agency on aging is required to have an advisory council to look over how they spend the funding that they receive from the state and federal government. So we do meet a majority of, I'd say almost all the participants on our council are 60 or older. We talk about the programs that we do provide. We ask that they share the information in the community and then bring back the recommendations from whether it's senior clubs or conversations they have with other people, but they help guide us and keep our finger on the issues that are needed to be addressed. And if they think our funding, if we're not spending our money that we receive in the correct way, they say, I think this is a new avenue you should look at instead of, usually they just want to think we need more money to have additional programs, not take any programs away, but really it's an advisory on the programs that we do have.
and if you could talk for a second about the New York Connects and the Long-Term Care Council.
Sure. So New York Connects is one of our newer programs. It's a information referral for anyone of any age seeking long-term services and supports in the county. And as part of that, also with the funding that we receive, we have to have advisory. And this is open to, because New York Connects is anyone of any age, it does want people who are seeking services, but also the providers in the area. So we meet quarterly with providers and people who are accessing services to talk about what's working, what's not, where there's linkage issues, what they think more needs to be done. So that's, we get together and sometimes the agencies say, I've got this issue that's been really plaguing my department or my division or my agency. So we kind of, discuss that as well and try to offer up solutions to each other and avenues to reach out.
Okay, and so we have 3 pages of names that Sarah's recommending. All of them I've seen before, and other people who are active in the community.
I'll make a motion to approve them all.
I don't think we need a motion.
I think to the extent that if the committee makes a recommendation or approves them, you should. It may not have to go to the floor, but that's, I think, the request at the end.
Well, then can we do both of them together? We'll approve,
Sure.
let me make a resolution to do the appointments to the Office of the Aging Advisory Council and New York Connects.
Exactly.
Good job, Jim, thank you. Any second on that motion?
It helps when you sit next to the attorney
Yeah, absolutely. Are you learning anything reading over your shoulder?
so much. Your IQ jumped 20 points in this last hour.
Oh my God. A lot of learning. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed?
Sarah, would you let Elizabeth know that Jim is not going to be able to work at full capacity? And I volunteered to fill in for him on an as-needed basis. So if Elizabeth knows that, she can also contact me.
Matt, did you want to speak to next we have the Youth Bureau Advisory Board. I mean, you don't have to.
Brian didn't give me any information, so
Okay,
I'm
I'm
unable to speak.
By default, as the chairman of this committee, I'm on the Youth Bureau Advisory Board. Interesting board. There's a number of like seniors in high school that are on that board as well, so the board has input. Our department head from probation and from Youth Bureau are there. And it's one of the things that they do is they do help to actually approve mini grants that are handed out across the county for youth programs. So that's to help lead the Youth Bureau, and the Youth Bureau reports that we get are also discussed at that meeting. So I would make a motion to move Brian's recommendations for the Youth Bureau Advisory Board.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we are to department reporting, And we try to rotate these every week so that the reports, since we have 4 departments reporting, we kind of rotate what order they go in, so somebody's not always last. And Sarah, you are up first this week.
Okay. Good afternoon. The first item I had, I just wanted to share, you all received a copy of the memo regarding older New Yorkers recognition. And also there were applications, nomination forms. I have some more here. Each year we take nominations from the community for seniors to be recognized in Albany by the State Office for the Aging. And this year's no different. This year the theme is Make Your Mark. So if you know of a particular senior that really stands out in your area, certainly we'd love to hear about them. We take the information, 2 people are selected, the names are submitted to the state. They're recognized locally as Oswego County representatives, but the state takes those applications and that information, and they may, from all the county office for the aging, and then they have some additional awards that are state level awards too. So the last few years, the Oswego County representatives have not been chosen, but I always hold out that we'll have somebody that is chosen on the state level. But I just wanted to share it with all of you, and hopefully we'll get some great nominations. And that's another thing that our advisory council does, the nominations. They do review and choose who to send on to the state level. It'll also be on our webpage. It's not there yet. But it's going to be going up, the nomination form will be on the webpage as well to download. Any questions on? May is Older Americans Month, and that is when we do go down to Albany to celebrate. I had just a few items that I had shared with Oxford Aging 2019. I like to put together a list of what we've done for the year, just for your information. A few of the highlight items: 225,882 home delivered meals were provided to 886 seniors throughout the county. We provided 586 hours of social adult day to 2 seniors. 71 seniors received the personal emergency response system. We were able to provide 7,129 one-way transportation trips to over 208 seniors. 1,416 people received insurance counseling. And I do have a copy of this. I can share it with everyone if you like.
It's in the packet.
It's in the
Oh, it
packet.
is in the packet?
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't in mine, so I didn't know. Sorry. I'm reading it off. I didn't realize it was in your packet.
Okay, well, you can pick out your favorite highlights and maybe a couple more.
Well, the only other one I really wanted to, 840 farmer market coupon booklets were distributed throughout the county. And of that, it gives purchasing power to seniors of $16,800 to purchase fresh fruits and vegetables from the farmer's market and participating farm vendors. So that all stays right here. I don't have the numbers this year for the utilization, but as soon as I have that, I'll share it as well, because we distribute that much. But last year, or 2018, we had an 82% utilization of the coupons. So I'll share that with you when it comes back, but I think that's a pretty good utilization of the farmer market coupons. Putting that out there.
So if they use them, they come back to you, so you know.
We don't get them. What happens is they use them, they go to the farmer, the vendor who's at the farmer's market. They then send that into the state to get reimbursement.
Oh,
So
to
the
the
state,
state.
so the state
Okay.
ag and markets count that all up.
Great.
So they get reimbursed from that department. Moving on to other department updates then. We did reach out, our office reached out to OCO Caring Community Advocates in Senator Ritchie's office, and we will be having a senior health fair. It's gonna be in May during Older Americans Month. We're narrowing down the dates right now. It'll be May 7th or 14th. It's gonna be at Catholic Charities in Fulton. which has plenty of parking and it is on the bus route, so that works out well. We're also looking into be able to provide transportation for seniors to get there. Not from OFA's budget, but because we're working with OCO Caring Community Advocates, we're looking to see if we can get financial sponsorship to cover that cost. We're going to, as part of our congregate meal program, the Office for the Aging will be providing the boxed lunches for the seniors. No additional cost to the county. It'll be part of the meal program that we have with OCO. Those under 60, we're still hammering out how that will work because if they're under age 60, they can't fall under our reimbursement. But we do have our contract with meals. It's a guaranteed amount so that we're able to keep the cost lower. So OCO receives funding for 248,600 meals. Last year, all those meals were not distributed or provided, so there was some money that was left on the table. I'm gonna get some numbers to you for our next meeting to see if that might be something we want to look at, the extra money that is not paid to, or that is paid to OCO, but meals aren't provided, that maybe we could provide the meals for those who register for the senior health care that are under age 60. So I'll have more information on what that looks like, numbers, potential numbers, and bring it to committee at that time to vote on. Any questions on any of that? March is March for Meals Month, so in the past, I know OCO, they do all of our meals. It's a time to bring to, for recognition of the meals and the nutrition services that are provided. They may be reaching out to you to see if you want to go to a congregate meal site to help distribute food or even ride on a home delivered meals route. If any of you are interested in that, you certainly can reach out to me and I can connect you with OCO. It's a great eye opener. You go out and see the people and talk to them and they give you a little extra information on what they like and what they don't like. So it's a terrific opportunity to get out there. So if anyone is interested, just please let me know and I'll get you contact with OCO. Office for the Aging is going to be participating with the health department's cookie drill later this month. So I think it's important to, because if there was a health emergency and medications or whatever the case may be had to get out quickly, our senior population is one of the populations we want to make sure we're taking care of. So OFA does participate with that. Food collection. I put it on our Facebook page. I don't know if anybody saw it, but Elizabeth in our office, she started a reverse advent. So before the holidays, each day leading up to Christmas, you put something in a box, a non-perishable item. She opened that up to our building at the health department. The sheriff's department also participated. Oswego Health participated, as well as Amnesty CrossFit, and we were able to collect 115 cases of food, not boxes or items, 115 cases. Wow. We delivered that to OCO at their Mexico office. They have a food pantry there because sometimes people, that home delivered meal is not enough. So we delivered to their food pantry, the Sandy Creek food pantry, the Parish food pantry, the North Shore food pantry in Cleveland, as well as Catholic Charities. So we tried to distribute it around the county, and that happened after the holidays because that's when we figured the shelves would be bare. So the last few weeks, those items were delivered. Our Stands Up for Seniors, we had 17 participants, and Jim, Legislator Krasnick did reach out to us. Of those 17 participants, we were able to provide them with 5 of them with meals as well, so holiday meals. Christmas dinner. So and when we delivered, the look on people's faces, not only on their faces and the tears, also my staff too, they said it was very heartwarming, and sometimes you lose track in the day-to-day of everything that you do and the minutia of what you do. You lose track of the big picture. So it was a nice eye opener for staff that did go out and deliver the boxes as well. And the people were very welcoming and, like I said, tears. And so it was a great program, and we will continue it next year. Hopefully, be able to expand it further.
And who dressed as Santa Claus with her? Rich? No.
We didn't have anyone dressed as Santa, no, but certainly if anyone wants to volunteer, you can come around with us next year.
As a side note, we delivered 7 for the vets, and the Army recruiters delivered them all the way up to Sandy Creek, one of the boxes. We did, I don't know how many we did with DSS recommendations. I think we ended up with 6 from DSS. But we did 35 in total. Novellis gave us the turkeys, and several churches donated money. And my wife was so glad because we turned in all the receipts and got our $890 put back on our credit card. So, but you guys were wonderful in giving us, these were all people that fell through the cracks and would not have had Christmas dinner. We were so pleased that you guys took part in that and provided us with families.
Yes, so thank you. It was really, truly appreciated. So I do have a couple of thank you notes I'm going to share with you too, and I'll scan and email to you from all participants. And the final item on my agenda, I just wanted to let y'all know, with the governor's budget as it's been proposed, the $15 million that was in there for unmet needs is in there again. So they said that it was going to continue on in 2020. It is in there. Again, the budget is not passed, but it is in there, as well as there's a small increase for WIN, which is Wellness and Nutrition. That's part of the Home Delivered Meals Program, so we might get some additional funding for that. And CSE, Community Services for the Elderly. That is, we use that for the personal emergency response system, some transportation, as well as senior home care. So if we get some of that money, some additional money there, we'll be able to provide some additional services as well. So that's all I have for now. Thank you.
If there's no questions, we'll move on to the youth bureau department update.
So I brought a packet from Brian. I didn't realize that I didn't have enough. Those were the ones that he had given me. So I will ask him if he can distribute those if anybody didn't get one. But there's the Ready Grant for Camp Hollis for $500,000 in ready funding, and Independence Trail for $400,000. And a consolidated funding application for the Youth Bureau award was $229,000. Zach is currently working to hire his staff for summer. He's looking for specific positions listed on the paper. He has started interviews for those. Brian does apologize that he is not here today because he's at the Youth Leadership Forum in Albany. He'll be there until on Wednesday.
Well, and I encouraged him to do that too, because I think, today was the day he was meeting with Senator Barkley and with the kids. I mean, Senator, because that's later, that's the Sunday.
And I believe he brought several applications for the New York State Governor's Youth Council with him to that, I think. As far as AmeriCorps goes, I've got 50 positions available for summer that I'm looking to start filling right now. I've sent applications and information to all of my previous sites for the summer. I had 20 sites last year. I'm hoping to have a few more this year to fill those 50 positions because I was able to hire 42 people last summer, so I'm hoping to get all 50 of them. And currently I have 11 members right now, but I've got availability for another 14, I believe.
Is there a focus this year? I know
The focus is it's fitness and nutrition for summer still, incorporating fitness activities and nutrition activities to youth using a kind of a traffic light model. So it would be go foods or green light foods, slow foods or yellow light foods, and whoa foods or red light foods. So it's teaching the youth
which foods are probably gonna be better than that for them, because the obesity rate for the childhood obesity rate for us, Oswego County, is one of the highest, of the entire state. So that's why our focus is primarily that, and the same goes for the fitness aspect. There's go slow and whoa fitness things that they could do where sitting in front of television is not exactly something that we want them to be doing. And
So if there's a youth program in your area and the people that run it are having a hard time filling positions or would like an extra body, sometimes that's a good place to get an AmeriCorps volunteer young person a job for the summer.
I just met last week with the Pulaski Elementary School principal, and they're interested in bringing on a member or two in the next school year. And that's everything that I have.
Yes, that-
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I got it 3:30, I've got to be at, but can I just take a quick note, and I don't know if it was coming up anywhere else, but Director Dave Turner, Community Development Office, had mentioned this would be a really great place for me to mention this. The census, you ready? I don't know, is anybody talking about census stuff at all? The state is put out on their website that they're looking to fund a lot of the information that the state is giving us money for to get the word out through local not-for-profits. That's new this year, is my understanding. It's over $100,000 that the state has apportioned for Oswego County, at least 100, a little bit more, and they're going to look to send that money through local not-for-profits. If you know of a not-for-profit who would want to be part of that outreach, there is a pretty strenuous list of requirements that they would need to fit. The application is through the state CFA. It is open now and open at latest through March 10th, I believe, but it's awarded kind of on an ongoing basis, and the state will review it. If a not-for-profit locally wants to be part of that list, they have to be approved through the state prior to this system. So anybody who's interested, if it would make sense, they should check it out. Dave sent me the email, but it's through ny.gov/2020-census. You go to the main, I think you can get there, and we'll see if maybe we can get it sent out to you, and you can, or I just got it, so I'm sorry I didn't get it to you ahead of time. But something a little bit time sensitive. So any local not-for-profits that would be interested, a lot of state funding through the county is going to be spent on local not-for-profits. So I think about $120,000 it sounds like. Yeah. So just, I don't know.
I don't know any nonprofits.
I'm sure we have a few that would be very interested in that, but it looks like anybody, there's a number of requirements, but anybody can apply. There. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Sorry, we got you. Okay, so we're on to Department of Social Services update. Oh, are we gonna do a video or do we want to?
I can slip right through if you can.
What is it about? This is.
So this is leadership across New York State, other social services commissioners, director of services, speaking to why Families First, the federal Families First Preventive Services Act is important to New York. It's up to you. I'm happy to move that off until next month.
Do you have a link?
Is it on your website?
I don't believe it's on their website. I can send out a link, however. Is everyone receiving email?
Yeah, I am.
Okay,
No, not yet. They will soon.
okay. I can easily do that. And I'm trying to pepper this throughout this year because, as I said.
Well, and that's
last
part of the
year-
reason I kind of, because you said this is something that's coming down the road that we got to be ready for. We're already, an hour and a half in. And,
Yeah.
On my way from Manhattan, my son told me that our furnace had smoked up the whole house, so something happened.
So you want to wait for it to dissipate?
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. He's airing the house, he's airing the house out.
Let me run right through because I also had asked for a little bit of time in executive session after the formal meeting is over for two very new issues. One's personnel and one's.
Okay, well, let's do the important stuff, because we can cover that later. I'm sorry that you spent the time to set it up, Marty, and everything, but.
We're good.
Betsy.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but Betsy will have it all ready for
I'll
next
be ready for next month.
Is that your name?
Uh,
It's, you can call me
And I'm thinking Kathy's here because of the CSB appointments.
Yep, that was all set in the beginning of the meeting, so
Oh, we're all set
Yep,
there? Okay,
thank
good.
you.
And you saw my report, I hope? So I spoke to the transitions of our employment and training. Chris will retire end of June, and to the resignation of Carrie Benson. This is just, important for you to know. The last time I was the interim director of services, it was a really heavy lift, and we weren't shifting and changing. So it's a very, it feels a bit overwhelming right now. I'm working a lot of hours. Bear with me, and then I'll get right back to you. Patience. There's just a lot of moving pieces right now. So I will do the very best I can. You all know I have a passion for child welfare. I grew up on that side of the house with DSS. So the will is there. I just wish there was more than 24 hours in a day. I do want to just show you that closing out the state budget, or the closing out the county budget. It's not totally closed out on the DSS side yet, but you can see there was $250,000 in personnel costs that we left on the table for 60-70 line, and $390,000 on the 60-10-70 line. So that's not all local share. Remember, we're all over the board, somewhere between 50% at the low end to 100% of our Medicaid personnel costs are covered. I did give you a brief on our contracts. Our Child Advocacy Center, it's my understanding we don't need to put that through the whole RFP process and all, but we are looking to extend their 2019 contract for 3 months because we don't have that fee for service, the details of all that worked out. But you may have heard that they have hired, the CAC has hired a new director.
For police chief.
Tori DeCare is recently retired as the City of Oswego Police Chief. DA Oaks and myself will be meeting with a couple of members of the CAC board and with Tori Friday. And we'll keep you posted on how that all kind of rolls out, but you can remember my words earlier in the meeting. They are a really critical partner on those cases that are the highest risk in criminal involvement as well. I gave you a brief. It was a little bit lengthy, but it was a brief on the ABOD waiver. So this is new federal regs through the USDA, Department of Agriculture, on who has to work for food stamps, also known as now SNAP. And we've had a waiver because of high unemployment rates. We are losing that waiver, and as of April 1st, all of the regulations that kick in for someone who is on temporary assistance or safety net assistance will also be the same for our SNAP participants. This is a very heavy lift for us. There's a lot of bureaucracy that's going to be infused in. At the writing of this, you saw some numbers. We've been able to get some new reports that tell us that there's about 1,100 ABOD. And you had asked me about this, I want to say a year and a half ago, maybe, this whole population. So we're going to start out by inviting 50 at a time to about 22 group sessions and do it all in groups. We know not all 50 will come. And in fact, we know from other counties who have lost waivers because of lowered unemployment rates. And Roy, you mentioned a state, a New England state, that did away with the waiver. So we know somewhere between 40 and 75% of those 1,100 are just going to drop off the rolls. those are mostly people that are declaring zero income, and only getting as a benefit out of DSS SNAP. I suspect, we haven't found that through our fraud efforts, but I suspect those are folks who are just living on somebody's couch or part of that underground economy, chopping wood for a couple of meals, that kind of stuff, bartering. I will be coming back to you with a plan. It may mean more staffing, depends on how we drop off. Even if we see the outset at 75% drop off, that still means for us, I think it was almost 300 clients. We want those to be meaningful and actually get them jobs. Some of those are folks who are feeling very stuck in those part-time jobs where they sometimes get 20 hours or more, which is what we're looking for, but sometimes not. And so we do want it to be meaningful, but please know we're doing everything we can to implement these new federal regs, to stay within the statutes, to be fair to our customers, and to certainly keep as low as we can what we ask for in local share. But we also have to stay within the regs. So our code blue in our warming center, I gave you a little bit of a heads up on. You can see we had only been open for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we had 421 individuals referred to the warming center, only 2 of them refusing service. That's pretty amazing. And I would say, as of now, a very, very, very conservative. I'm sure we definitely saved at least $3,500 in shelter costs. And, you know, again, we're not doing anybody any favors, just giving them a motel room out in the middle of nowhere, which is La Siesta. Yeah, out in the middle of nowhere.
That's Mexico.
She nailed it right.
Somewhere.
It's no public transit though.
Richard,
That's the issue.
Richard Klein can call Cleveland Hooterville then.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure too if you know in Spanish, I think that means the rest. Is that it? So,
It is, yeah, we want folks out looking for
the
jobs.
Shady Rest Hotel.
It'll be in.
I also had put in here about the governor's proposed New York State budget and Medicaid. You know, I also sent out another email over the weekend that Phil said, put hard copies in all your boxes. So, you know, I am available and open for any discussions or any questions. This is absolutely shameful policy making. Shame on the state. I've never, you know, 40 years this year I've been in social services and social work. I've never seen such an egregious action that could cause such harm to counties. This is unconscionable, it's shameful, and I tell everyone who will listen that this is not anything that we should have to deal with. I don't know where the governor got this distorted perspective of what kind of control I might have. You know, we are indeed still doing long-term care applications. Does he want me to have a wait list for those? So that, I'm sorry, we can't take and pay that nursing home right now. Sorry, we'll put you on a wait list in the next opening we have. I mean, what is this all about? So shameful policy making, and I know Phil is at the forefront in his leadership at NISAC. Boy, he had us scrambling. We were all at our NIPA conference the week before NISAC, and I really want to commend again Veronica and Cheryl, who, if you can imagine, We're in the midst of all of some very high-level fiscal officers in DSSs in this conference, like a lobby kind of thing with tables and, you know, all of them just chatting. I'll look up this one and let me call the office. I mean, this was, you know, some real brain power that really knew these systems. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about Medicaid.
No, it just hit us hard and right in the middle of conference, so we didn't have anything available to us, and we figured out a way to make it work because it wasn't just Phil, it was every single county administrator across the state asking their fiscal person from DSS to come up with the information, and we were all at conference. So we just managed to talk our people back home on how to look things up that we needed information. We had them do screenshots off different locations and send us those screenshots, and together we put together what the county administrators were looking for.
Including on the ride home.
And there was six directors of fiscal management doing the work, and then we sent it to all other 52 counties so they would have it available to them.
Thank you for getting me the information too. That was
You're
very
very
helpful.
welcome.
Yeah, I mean, we will do whatever you need, Phil. I don't want to speak to numbers, especially being aware that we have, I believe, the Pale Times. No,
Oswego County
News. Oswego County News, okay. I wouldn't want to be misquoting any kind of figures on, you know, kind of the overall impact, but I'm sure we will.
I will.
F&P,
As we understand, no, I'll be doing an F&P too, but
okay.
if we're understanding the budget, or governor's proposal, what we did is apply his rules to the last 4 years. And to see what would happen, to determine what our exposure might be. And tax increases were as high as 6% on our property tax levy. So there's, and all the growth, except for 1 year, the growth was all above this 3% threshold he set. So, in my opinion, we would basically nullify the property tax cap. Make it an absolute law, not just in this county, but in most counties.
Most counties north of the orange.
Even south, New York City is estimating a $1 billion impact.
Wow.
I was talking to people
Oh, yeah.
from New York City.
The mayor,
This is in this is one issue where the upstate and downstate counties and New York City are all in agreement.
yeah, apparently de Blasio blasted him. Already too. Okay, you have, Jeremy's gonna try to be putting out a date for, to come and have an update from all your different, department heads or et cetera underneath you.
We're actually gonna, you know, last time it kind of got stretched out quite far. So we're gonna start with just Marty, Veronica, and I. And then for people who have special interests, we'll pull together some other directors at later dates.
So this is for legislators to get an
the
update of what
orientation.
happens over at DSS. If you wanna, if that's something you're interested in, you can give a call to Jeremy or Stacy, or you can email me and I can try, we're gonna be putting together a date for that.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct. I also wanted to point out the last couple of bullets, my personnel updates of my report. We were waiting for active civil service tests and lists to come out. And those vacancies, we had 10 vacancies in our social welfare examiners. It's about a third of our staff. We have 18 in our caseworkers out of, at that time, 84.5. Waiting for these lists, I can't do that anymore. We are, we cannot keep up. And there's scary situations that I need to stay on top of. So we will start hiring provisionally. Now we've not done that in the past, but frankly, we're zooming right through these lists. So our ability to actually reach the people we hire provisionally after they've taken the test, passed it, and scored is pretty good. Those tests lists are not running stale. If somebody that we hire provisionally, because remember, those two positions, it's a lot of training. Training that's expensive, where we have to send people away, particularly with our caseworkers. So I hesitated to do provisional appointments. I'm not anymore. When we have vacancies and we don't have a civil service list, then we're going out recruiting and we're finding the best person we can and we're hiring them and we're getting them started, because I can't have these vacancies stacking up. It's,
Well, and you can help train them for the test as well, too.
correct, that's absolutely correct, yep. Not many people, they actually fail these tests though.
So that's
So,
good.
It is good, yep. Couple of good news, I just was not in my report that I do wanna let you know about though, is our consolidated funding application was approved by the Regional Economic Development Council, so now it goes to that level 2 with the state review. This is our employment and training, it's about $405,000. It will provide for 16 CNAs or medical assistants to get about a 40% wage increase by getting trained as a LPN, licensed practical nurse. This is a high demand position. We have buy-in from St. Luke's, Morningstar, the Gardens, Oswego Health, both the hospital and the manor, and there's 5 local physicians. So they will be continuing to help pay benefits for those, their existing employees in these workforces. We will pick the bright and shining stars out of CNAs and MAs, more than the vast majority of them single moms. That's the highest population of people in poverty in Oswego County, single moms. So what we'll be doing is helping lift them up by providing them wages so they can actually live while they get through this training and credentialing. And then they have commitments from their employers to get them employed right away. This is an incredible opportunity to lift people out of poverty households with young children. Chris Weaver, our retiring director of ENT, was her concept. She borrowed it from what some manufacturers did in Onondaga County and applied it to our healthcare industry here. And we are pleased as punch, and I really feel we're gonna get this money and we're gonna see this happen this year. So this is great stuff. I'm also applying to the Shinneman Foundation. We need some electronic signage right outside our Fulton shop. Karen Goitz, if many of you know her, director of the Shinneman Foundation, drives back and forth from her home to her work every day, never knew that that's what was in there, was that career center, our one-stop career center. So we've talked about this, we looked at them, too expensive, can't fit it in the budget. So I finally said, Karen, are you willing to help us out with this? So we're putting in for that and for some more tablets in our Mexico office for our clients who are job seekers. All of it will be less than a $20,000 yes. So I'm really hopeful that we will be able to get that, and that's just a wonderful opportunity. And that's it, folks.
Yes.
If memory serves me, DOT has regulations on those electronic signs.
Yes.
You want to consult
Yeah.
before you buy.
Yeah, not only that, but Fulton, it's in the city of Fulton, and
Where
they
is-
have to have,
We're exempt from Fulton zoning land use.
they have something about putting, we already got our permit, I guess.
Okay. It would go through Don Forbes, we're exempt from city zoning and land use, but DOT we're not exempt from, so.
I think John Booker talked, but I'll make sure,
Yeah.
DOT. Thank you, Rich.
Okay, Jamie.
Good afternoon, everybody. So I had a meeting today with Congressman Catco. We went over a bunch of legislation that he has been supported and some new updates. So Mission 14 of the Honor Flight, Mission 15 of the Honor Flight is scheduled for May 2nd, which is a Saturday. Their goal right now is to have 80 veterans with 80 guardians. They're almost full. They actually have the majority being World War II and Korean War vets. On that flight, they're going to fly the 1,000th veteran. So they're doing a really great job there. Mission 16 is is right now scheduled for Saturday, September 26th. If you've never seen an honor flight procession, they're quite humbling and very educational. So if you get a chance, they do have a huge homecoming party at the airport. They tell you to get down there by 6:30 on the day of the return flight, which is same day. Some other things that are going on. So I'm working on a bipartisan piece of legislation with Congressman Katko and Congressman Brindisi. We're working on separating mental health eligibility out of VA healthcare benefit eligibility. So right now, if you separate from the service, you have 1 year, regardless of your discharge type, to utilize mental health care services. If you develop PTSD symptoms in 1 year and 1 day, and you don't qualify for VA healthcare benefits, you don't qualify for mental health benefits. In 2018, the federal budget allotted $6.2 million to be used on suicide prevention campaigns for veterans, and $57,000 was used. So $6.193 million was left unused, and during that time frame, there wasn't a single televised ad campaign for suicide prevention for veterans. So I brought up the question, well, what are you going to do with $221 million that you couldn't do with $6.2 million? They didn't have an answer for me. So I said, with that money, we can rewrite the eligibility for mental health care and cover the costs for those who are eligible for mental health care, but not eligible for VA benefits. So that's what I'm working on with them. They're both very in tune with developing this as a bipartisan driven bill. So I'm looking forward to watching that move forward. So we have sent tourism our Veteran of the Year press release along with the nomination forms. Last year, for those of you who got to attend our Veteran of the Year ceremony, it was really successful. And I appreciate all of those who were able to attend. So we're going to kick that off again this year with nomination forms being due at the end of May. The nomination form will be posted on the county webpage, and if anyone wants paper nomination forms to post or to hand out somewhere, whether it be your agency or business, please let me know. I can generate some paper copies for you. As far as that goes, I think that's everything for the Veterans Agency for this month. So, any questions?
Thank you, and especially new legislators, all of our department heads are really usually happy to hear from you and ask questions, and the questions aren't too hard. But it's good to go in and say hello and kind of learn about what they're doing. The congregate meal thing that's coming up, that's kind of shows local support for those congregate meals that happen. So we have apparently two executive sessions. We have one that's on here and one that is you're requesting as well. I'm going to do what's listed here first. This is a proposed or pending or current litigation regarding therapies. Motion for that.
I'm also gonna just, I don't need to say anything, but I give out these foster care reports. This is the last of the December one, so it shows the end of the year. So if you are interested in our foster care numbers, I'll pass that along. And then the rest of us should leave, and then I should come back.
Yep.
I'm moving on to the executive session.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Troy, vote.
Pardon me?
All in favor? All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We don't expect